everyone, and welcome to the very next episode of The Remedy with Tova Sido and
Janice Gaunt and
Tom Bridwell.
Yay, the gang's all here.
Tom. I really like this poker board. Or what do you call this? Oh, poker table. As our back, like it feels so good to put my arms on.
I know.
Yeah.
Wish I had a drink to put in there. We might have to start drinking while we do this. It'd really get crazy.
You know, every once in a while, we used to bring a beer or two, but it's been a while since we've done. We might need to bring
day
that back.
drinking.
Yeah.
Well, I thought it was really cool because last week Tom had a poker party here. And there were like how many people? 10?
It was me and 8 other guys. It was last Friday.
So fun.
Isn't that the coolest?
How late did y'all go, Tom?
It was over at midnight.
Oh,
yep. Took
that's
4 hours,
reasonable.
8 to midnight.
Wow.
Yes. But the one thing
fun.
it does is it's not the white table that's underneath that poker top is that white table reflects a lot of the light back into y'all's faces. So that sort of helps with that.
Oh.
And
Well,
you
this
can
is
lean
great.
into it like you're doing now. It's a lot more comfortable.
Yeah, it feels really good.
Yeah.
So did y'all play music while you're doing this, or is it pretty
Yes.
serious?
I definitely had some tunes going in the
did?
background, and we had a basketball game on the TV as well.
Who was playing?
It was, I don't even remember. It was like a college game that it was, I don't think anybody was paying attention to it. But
It's just what
believe me,
guys
if Kansas had been playing, we would have.
Yeah. I watched Tech beat Oklahoma the other night. I'll just about watch any basketball game.
That's awesome.
do. I love you in sports.
I know, it's crazy, and I watch football all day long when it's football season. I'll get up and do game
And you
day.
listen to the ticket all day.
I listen to the
it
ticket.
cracks me. You're like a dude's dream
The
girl.
ticket is amazing.
The ticket is amazing. I agree with that. They are so funny.
And they make some of the weirdest statements about like psychological things. And I had a client said, you should
you've talked about that.
call the ticket and say, I want to be your on
Air
therapist, and so I can
that would
call
just be
you out on your
brilliant.
ignorance when it comes to that.
Janice is on line 1. Can you imagine?
Because I am a ticket chick. It would
Great.
be
What's your favorite
perfect.
show?
great that bit would be.
I don't know. I love the morning. I
Yeah,
love the
the
musers.
musers. Yeah.
I think they're hilarious, but I like Corby too.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, I really like all of them.
I only ever listen to the Musers, but they're freaking hilarious.
I
Yes,
love
they
Fake
are.
Jerry. I mean, how funny is Fake Jerry?
Fake Jerry is so brilliant, and the way that they bring in all the family members,
Yeah.
is so funny.
Another one is the generic youth minister. That's one of my favorites.
Oh, my
that is- and that's spot on. I've worked at churches. I don't know how they know, but it's.
Well, Gordo's dad was a preacher.
Oh, really?
Yes.
I don't think I knew that.
He had a pretty strict religious upbringing. It's hard to believe.
It's really funny.
Yeah, Tom and I have gone to Ticket Stock several times, and we didn't do it this time because we were babysitting Haney and Mia, Blair's children, and I called Tom and I was like, let's go. Let's take let's take them out there. And he was like, we can't take our granddaughters to Ticket Stock. He said, I don't think they'll get it. And I was like, oh my gosh, because they had the guys, the twins, what's the name of the show where it's about the Indian culture? And they have those twins.
Reservoir Dogs.
Yeah, Reservoir.
I don't know that.
Reservation Dogs.
Yeah, Reservation Dogs. That's
Do you
right.
watch that?
I've seen the first season. It is great, and those
my
two
gosh.
twins are hilarious.
They're hilarious. They're rappers.
Yeah.
Is it a
You know?
reality show?
No,
Oh.
it's about all these people that live on an Indian reservation in current day.
Okay.
But it is a great show.
It's a really good show. It's from the same guys that did that movie Jojo Rabbit, and they also do What We Do in the Shadows. If you've ever seen that show on FX,
yeah,
the
yeah.
vampire show.
Yeah, I've heard of it.
It's like The Office for vampires. Anyway, that guy, I think his name is Tahiti Waikiki. It's like
yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Taika Waititi or something.
Yeah,
Anyway, I
yeah.
can't pronounce his name, but He's from Australia, and he is really talented. He's kind of doing a lot of good stuff right now.
Yeah, well, these twins, they ride on their bikes everywhere on the show, and they are rappers, so they were at Ticket Stock, and that's one reason why we wanted to go because we wanted to hear the interview with him. But then I did hear the interview when I was in my car, and it was great.
Yes,
because it's interesting because they are rappers, but they can, they were talking about how much they cuss and stuff, but they're Christians, so they're spiritual. So they, it's just so good. I just can't even. You would really like the show.
It's very endearing.
Wow.
It is so endearing.
Wow, I love that word.
So you haven't started the second season then?
No, I haven't.
Oh my gosh.
Well, now I can't
I will.
wait.
We're kind of in the golden age of television right now. It's hard to keep.
It's true.
It's hard to keep current on everything.
I know. And I watch Marriage at First Sight.
Oh, I love that show. I've already finished it. And Tom, have you been watching Full Swing, or are you already done with it?
I've already finished it.
You've already done?
Yep.
I'm only on Craig and I are on episode 4.
What is that about? Is that about golf?
Yes.
Oh.
It's a documentary series where they follow different golfers and their families, their journeys, and then this whole big controversy with the whole live tournament over in Saudi Arabia. Anyway, it's really good.
Brooks Koepka is the tool that I thought he was.
Wow. I was pleasantly impressed and surprised. I've always liked Ian Poulter. I've liked his personality, but I liked what I learned about him.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
His problem is he just
lovable.
maybe lives outside of his means a little bit. I don't
think
know if
so.
you've seen, I mean, he's made like $35 million.
Yeah, but he already has.
But he
has a
needed more
plane.
money, so he just maybe should just not have as many sports cars and jets.
Yeah, 35 million.
Should hold you.
It would hold me.
You would
It
think.
would hold me.
It would
I
hold me
wouldn't
tight.
need more.
No, not a penny more.
Nope.
No, I could live easily the
That's
rest
what-
of my life on that.
That's what Craig and I were talking about. Is because now he was running out of money, and then Liv allegedly offered him anywhere from 20 to 30 million.
Yeah.
And he said he needed to do it for his family. I'm like, need?
Yeah.
Like seriously
well,
need?
I mean, maybe they spend a ton of
Yeah,
money.
and he said it's all
definitely
relative.
does.
Yeah, there
He
you
did
go.
say that, Tom. He said
Yeah.
it's all relative.
Yeah.
So speaking of money, we need to thank our sponsor for today.
Okay.
Frances Mitchell.
Thank you, Frances.
Again,
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, she did.
so
She did.
sweet.
She gave enough for 3.
Oh my gosh.
I know.
So
Precious.
Thank you.
So thank you, Frances. She's a big fan of what we do and been a long time listener and sponsor, and
it's really cool.
very cool. Okay, today we are going to talk about body image. I thought this would be, well, this came up for me a couple of times. It comes up every so often when meeting with people, as I'm sure it does for you.
Yeah. Yeah, it comes up for me when I'm getting out of the bathtub. Every day.
Well, it came up for
You two just quiet right down, because you two ladies are some lookers.
Oh,
Listen,
Tom.
I know that I am not large. Well, we'll get into this. We'll get into this when we get started, because there's things that have started happening to my body that is
It's
in my
already-
awareness
yes.
all the time. But we'll get there.
But Tom, to your point, so I went to my doctor. One of the things that I was like, okay, I want to talk about. I went to my OB, and I don't weigh myself. And I just kind of go with how, and I know that I'm a little bit bigger right now, but I'm giving myself some grace because the accident, and I just can't be active the way that I've wanted to. And I've just thought, oh, I'll get back there. I almost choked.
Did you start crying?
I was like, what the? But what was crazy is I hadn't had these thoughts about my body until I looked at the scale. And when people like you, Tom, just did tell me, come sit and talk to me, like, and I'm just not feeling good about the way that I look. I'm 5 pounds heavier now. And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, oh God, Like,
Yeah.
you are the skinniest,
Yeah.
most adorable person on the planet. What are we talking about here? And I became that girl.
Yeah.
In the doctor's office. And so then, my OB was like, as you age, the, what do you call it? The insulin, you don't produce or you're not
Metabolize
as efficient. He
So
said,
you eat more sugar, and then there it goes.
and if you eat sugar, if you have wine, it's going to, it takes longer to get rid of. And it kind of settles in. I'm like, I've just never had around the stomach area. and so he said, go to your internist, talk to her. There's some medicine you can take for insulin. So I made an appointment with my internist and go, and I've never been so shamed in my life.
What did they say? Are you crazy? I'm not going to give you that medicine.
Yes. Yeah, like she was like, I'm worried. I'm really worried about, like, looking at me like,
you have a eating disorder.
Yes. And I'm like, it's all relative. It's like if I've been 10 to 15 pounds lighter in my life than I am right now, and I want to go back, like, don't shame me. Don't shame me. I was like, I'll get my therapist.
But it is like that, because I always think immediately about the red bathing suit, and that I don't know.
So for context, if people don't remember that story.
If you haven't heard this story, and Tom probably has not heard this story, the Tom in the booth. But so when Bryn was when Bryn was born, I got diet pills to lose my baby weight, but then those diet pills, I was kind of like, it was like my vitamin in the morning, I mean, it's speed. And so I got really.
Were they prescribed?
No, you have to buy them on the underground.
Oh, okay. On the dark web?
The dark web. And so, no, there was a doctor here that you could get them from. And so I took those, and there's a picture. Well, my mother one day said to me, she said, you look like you are dying of cancer. You're so skinny. And I was like,
yes.
Yeah. I'm like, no, I'm really not, blah, 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 blah. And so we were out of town. We were in Mexico, and Kurt, my first husband, took a photograph of me in this red bathing suit. And my mother was like, I mean, really, Janice, my friends are asking me if you're okay. And I looked at that picture of me in that red bathing suit, and I thought I looked fabulous. I really did. I still have that picture, but I'm not looking at it now. But I mean, it is all so relative, because at that point in time, I weighed probably 97 pounds. And like right now, I probably weigh 110. That's that's where I stay, pretty much where I want to be. And but if I look at that red bathing suit picture, I think, oh God, that would be so good.
You would disappear if you were.
It's sick. It's called sickness. It's called body image sickness.
Which I think at some point, and I'd love to hear your feedback, but I think men struggle too. With their bodies and their body image. Don't you think men care a lot more than they talk about?
I don't know. I think that they do care.
Yes.
Oh, the answer is yes.
Thanks, Tom.
Was that God?
Kind of sounded like him.
It did.
I was trying to be emphatic.
You were. I got it. But okay, so talk about that, Tom.
I mean, I've been pretty much overweight since about 8th grade, and I would say I definitely care. The only time I really care is when we're at a pool or at the beach, when I'm have my shirt off. It's always been a little bit of an aggravation to me. But ultimately, if I cared enough, I would do something about it. And so I guess that's my answer. I don't care that much. I definitely I don't feel overweight. I'm active. I play a lot of golf, a lot of tennis.
Yeah.
I've got good coordination. I don't get injured. I mean, I broke my arm, but it's not like I have like nagging knee injuries or any of that stuff, back problems. I don't have any of that stuff. And so really it's just a superficial kind of aggravation is the best way I could describe it, that I don't have that part of my life like shored up like everything else. You know, I kind of, that's the thing when you're neat and clean, like my wife and I are, it's just kind of an aggravation to not have that part of our lives
perfect,
tidied
like everything
else.
But you know, I mean, it's a very hard part of your life because we have to eat. And
there's just so many good things to eat.
there are so many good
Especially
things
in
to
Dallas.
Especially in Texas, yes.
Yeah.
I mean, Tex-Mex, come on, right there. That's the downfall.
Yeah, Blair and I had Micosina last night. We, have to have our Mico fix about every 2 weeks or something, but it is hard because there are so many things. Like I've been eating dried mango and I like it a lot, but it has so much sugar in it when I looked at it. And I think the sugar is the thing that, I think that it's more, it will affect your body, the way your body looks a lot. But I also think that sugar reduces your immune system. And and too much sugar is just not good for you, but it's a trip because it's just there's so many different things. Like we're getting ready to go to Hawaii on Saturday and I tried on my 2 black bathing suits. I don't have the red bathing suit. It's a good thing. But I was like, oh gosh, my legs are so white and, I'm 70, so I have a little bit of, well, not a little, but quite a bit of crepiness on my arms. So I really don't like to show my arms anymore, but you get so what I think I am trying to remember is that people don't look at my body as much as I look at my body.
No.
And they're not picking me apart unless they're picking themselves. Healthy people are not picking themselves or other people apart.
Yeah.
And, I've told the story about looking at yourself in the rear. When I was brushing my hair and my friend, I said, can you believe what's happening to our butts? And she goes, I don't even know what you're talking about because I hadn't looked at it. And I'm like, oh.
Never mind.
Don't look. But there are all sorts of things like that happen to your body when you get older.
Yeah.
But we're also not prancing around in thong bathing suits. And if I had a butt that looked like my daughter's butt, I probably would put on a thong bathing suit. And I never did. We didn't have them back then.
That was not a thing.
No. But it's interesting because we compare. Yeah. And that's when we're, our body image will look. I have a picture of myself when I was 8 years old, and it's by my makeup mirror. And whenever I start looking too closely at myself or at my facial wrinkles or whatever, I tell her that she's precious and that's fine. Because, my mother was really very concerned about her body. And so, I think that's where I got that.
How did you know that your mom was so concerned about her body? Did she talk about it? Did she shame you?
She didn't shame me because I was always real skinny. But my sister was not real skinny all the time, and she would really fuss at her. I remember one time she spanked my sister for eating a donut. But my mother and my dad was pretty concerned. That's kind of a West Texas thing, that everybody's supposed to be skinny, but they weren't because like both of my grandmothers were bigger people. But yeah, my mother cared a lot about it. When she was 93, one day I called her and I said, "What are you doing?" She said, I'm having lunch. And I said, "What are you having?" And she said, "Cottage cheese and pineapple." And I said, "Is that all?" And she said, "Yeah, I'm just trying to lose a couple of pounds."
That's so so fantastic.
And she was 93,
Oh my
and she was
gosh.
still concerned about how her body looked.
Wow.
And I know that I've passed some of this down to my kids, and because of my obsession about it, especially early in my life. And but I own it with them, and I say, you know, and they don't obsess about their bodies like I do. You know, or I did. I really don't too much anymore. The crepey arms kind of suck.
Yeah.
But
Well, I think there's a difference between looking at your body and being like, wow, that's new.
Yeah.
You know? And then like that becoming all consuming or it becoming this like unrealistic quest to remain the same. I mean,
Yeah.
we're not. We are going to age. And so I think your point of just like acceptance, and it's not acceptance that like, oh well, I'm gonna get old, like, and so I'll just let everything go to hell in a handbag.
Yeah.
Like you and I take really good care of ourselves, and we exercise, and
Yeah.
I have a face washing regime, and you know I go to my doctors and all the things, but. I think that I also grew up with a mom who was incredibly obsessed with, she never imposed her stuff onto us. And I always thought it was really weird how torqued up. She was bulimic. I would hear my mom.
oh, I can remember you saying that.
Yes. I remember my mom throwing up my entire life. And I remember thinking it was so gross. And for a long time, I thought she was sick. I would run and get my dad. Be like,
Yeah.
Mom's sick. Like, I'm scared. Mom's sick. You know, she's getting, because, you know, when you're a little kid, barfing is really scary.
Yeah, and it's awful.
And you have to be really sick
Yeah.
to barf, you
Yeah.
know, when you're 6 years old or 7
Yeah.
years old. But it was just and I remember confronting my mom because I was always kind of mad at my dad that he just let her have this eating disorder for our entire lives. But I was in college. I came home from college and we were on family vacation. And I was walking the beach with my mom. And did I ever tell you this, Janice?
I don't think so.
And I told her, I said, Mom, I'm worried about you. And she said, why? And I said, because I hear you throw up. I know you're bulimic. And like, it makes me so sad.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, I want you to get help. Like, and she was like, you don't know what you're talking about. Don't you ever bring this up to me again.
Yeah.
And she walked away from me and she did not speak to me for a week. We were on vacation and she ignored me.
Oh my gosh.
She ignored me because she was so mad that I called attention to her eating disorder. But
everybody knew probably anyway.
everybody knew about, barfing is really hard to hide.
It's really hard to hide.
You know, it's
not only the sound, but the smell.
yeah, everything. And the
All of
bathroom
it.
smell.
Yeah.
It's just disgusting.
Yeah.
And she always had laxatives. Like there was always some regime. And she would cook dinner for us and then she would have a tiny bowl of cereal. And that would be it. And we would be like, Mom, you're not eating? And so me growing up with that, I feel like I have just gone so far the other way, like with what I want to show to my children and what I've wanted to model for, especially Anna Prin. But I have watched Anna Prin watch me. Sometimes she'll just be in my room and while I'm getting dressed or, you know, I don't mind if my daughter sees me naked. It's not like my boys ever, you know, but
yeah, good.
yeah.
We'll talk about that.
Yeah, no. If that ever accidentally has happened, we're all like, you know, sorry.
Yeah.
But I see Anna Prin. I have heard Anna Prin talk about her body in comparison to my body. She's done that. And I'm like, baby, we are biologically completely different.
That's the thing. Your genes have predetermined so much of that.
Oh,
Yes.
yes. And she her genetic makeup is completely different than mine. I have 2 sisters, and our genetic makeup is complete. All 3 of us have 3 completely different bodies.
Yeah. And it really is. So
And look at your girls.
Yeah. I mean, they're all kind of similar.
They're all tiny, but like Blair's a little bit shorter, and Wesley's
exactly.
a little more petite, and Blair's like a little more muscular and strong. They're all teensy tiny, but they're all a little bit different.
Yeah, they're different
Genetically.
Yeah. And, I think the thing that what has happened to me is I really, as long as I can get into my clothes, like I can wear my jeans and I don't, then I'm good with that. I really don't care about losing weight or gaining weight. I weigh once a week, just kind of, because I went through a period of losing some weight and I wanted to make sure I wasn't still losing it, and I'm not. But what has happened for me is the shift from the outside to the inside, because now food and exercise and all of that has more to do with longevity than it does with, because I'm not going to be, I'm going to Hawaii and I will have on a bathing suit, but it's not like I'm going to be walking in the Tom Thumb in my bathing suit. So it's all about...
You just start to look at your body differently.
You just look at it differently. And it's all about, okay, I need to watch my cholesterol, and I want to... I don't want to have too much sugar, and all of that. Because
or saturated fat.
Or saturated... Yeah, I'm really particular about the saturated fat. And... but I'm not. But I eat a lot of fat. I don't mind fat at all, as long as it's not saturated. So because now it's all about, I want to live as long as I can, and I want to live healthily.
Right.
So, but it is interesting because you look at these girls, everybody wants to look the same.
Yeah.
And it's thin, and it's a lot of pressure.
Yeah. It's a lot of pressure.
It really is.
And it is not just a young girl thing. I think there's pressure with moms as you age to look a certain way. There's pressure. I would say there's pressure with you. I know women your age who they're still really thoughtful, and some obsessed about.
Yeah.
And for a lot of people, I've noticed that the aging, like getting older, and now because there's so much you can do as you get older to not get older. Like
filler.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel sorry for the people who I look at and I think, I wonder what they used to look like. Because I don't know what they used to look like, and I don't know what they should look like.
But they look weird.
But they don't look like they are aging the way that they were meant to age.
Yeah. I had a client years ago that her parents died, and she inherited like $780,000, very close to $1 million. She had spent every penny of it on surgeries and fillers and everything for her face. She had her nose done like 3 times. She had breast implants put in, taken out, had tummy tucks, had her ears done, had lip implants, had butt implants. It was I felt so sad for her because I liked her,
Sure,
and
of course.
she just was her, and we talked a lot about it, and her mother was just obsessed with her looks, her daughter's looks, and like it was a reflection on her. So it was really tragic.
2 words I did not ever think I would hear together is butt implant.
Yeah, right?
I don't understand the obsession with
big butts.
Is big the right
guys,
word? I feel like women are trying to get this round, but like obnoxiously round, Kim Kardashian-esque. Is she the beginning of that craze?
I think so.
I don't understand.
I don't either.
And it's, to me, that size booty is not attractive to me.
But for so many men, it is.
I don't know any of them. Tom would not like it.
I'm not a fan of that size.
Craig would not like it either. But I've talked to several guys about it who I love it. They're like, I love it.
Kanye, you've been talking to Kanye.
Yeah. Me and Conway.
Me and Kanye tight. But I think that that those butt implants that are rounding it out to keep it, I think a lot of them from sagging.
So is it an actual implant like you would put in a breast implant? Like there's an incision and stuff?
I think so. Yeah,
it's not an injection.
No, I don't think so. I think I'm making this up, but I kind of think it's right.
Some sort of contraption.
Some sort of a contraption, and they make an incision where the butt cheek meets the top of the thigh, in the back. And so then they just put that in there. Because, how did Kim Kardashian create that?
I don't know.
And who would keep doing
that? Who would want that?
But, all of those girls have that now.
And they love it.
Yeah, they love that.
It's a very specific look.
Part of the problem, I think, with the body image, if there is a body image problem in this modern age with social media, it is because people see it on Instagram or Facebook and they want to be that. And gosh, it's crazy. All of the women who've sort of made a career out of changing themselves into this Barbie doll type figure. And you've seen some of the extreme ones where these women are just clearly broken. They go overboard with implants and injections and they kind of become almost like a monster.
Yeah,
and I don't think they see it anymore.
No, I don't think so either because they want a little more.
What's happening, Janice, in the mind or the soul, or what's your experience with people who have really suffered with either eating disorders or body image? Why does that exist?
Well, what I think
what's happening?
What happens is people have created a body for self-image. So, in other words, my self-image needs to come from the inside. So that I can understand that my essence is valuable simply because I breathe, because I'm a child of the universe, I'm a child of God. And so that value was established the moment that I was conceived or was born or whatever. So, but then what happens is because we are so superficial in so many ways. Our houses, our cars, our clothing, our shoes. It just goes on and on and on. And so if you're trying to keep up with somebody, then that is one place that people think, okay, well, I can go to town on this. And if a little's good, then a lot's better. And then you have to keep up with it. So then let's say you get your lips injected with filler, and then in 2 months you go back and they put a little more. And even though, so maybe the first time you did it, it looked pretty good. And then the second and third and fourth time, those lips get bigger, and it's looking like Donald Duck a little, And so I think it's hard for people to be, they don't satiate themselves. They if they want more and more and more and more and more.
Well, it's not satiated because that's actually not the problem.
No, it's not the problem. What the problem is that their self-image is based on their body
rooted
as opposed
on the outside.
Instead of realizing that they are just a precious child of God, which is a hard concept to get because we're all about the looks.
Yeah. Well, our society would tell you that your value comes from your body, your hair, your money, your all the things that you just named. Like, oh, he's cool, or he's awesome, or she's spectacular because of her looks and her bank account.
Yeah, and I think that part of that is based on women needing men to determine their value. And that's codependency and that is a whole different issue too. But I think that what has happened is that, back in the day, nobody had boob jobs. When I don't know when boob jobs became a thing, but
What did you say? Early 80s?
Dolly Parton.
Yeah, well, maybe,
Yeah,
maybe
maybe.
she could have been the first one. Actually, she
True.
did have some big ones too. But so then you start there, and then you go a little place else, and I think that so many women are so defined by what men think that, and I think that men can get carried away with the female body because that's basically their source of, having a hard on. I mean, they look at the body and that can determine a lot of that.
Yeah.
So women are trying to seek that approval and men are wanting more of that. I've had, I don't know, maybe 10 much older men who like much younger women, and they paid for all of that because they would rescue a younger woman, and a lot of them, or several of them, were dancers, and then the men would create. They would rescue these women, and then they would pay for all of the plastic surgery so they could create this younger person that was never going to age. And then they're older, so then I'll never forget one time going in a restaurant, and there were all these older men, I mean, like in their 70s, with these young-looking women that were all just filled and boobied up and all of that, because it gave men the illusion that they're younger and that they're youthful and that they're still attractive, and yet they're creating this woman that they think is going to make them look like they're something else. So it's so convoluted.
Yeah, and I think two things that came up for me when you said that. I think that's awful for the younger girls, because who are so impressionable and don't mind the sugar daddy, making everything better allegedly. And then I think there's a whole other, I think the deck is stacked against women who, especially single women who are my age and older, because men, especially if you have money, a man my age doesn't have to date a man my age. A man my age can easily, especially with money, date a girl 20s, 30s, 40s, much younger.
Yeah.
And I could date somebody younger if I wanted to, but I don't want to.
Well, Tom's younger than me. But not much.
But
6
I'm
years,
talking
but not
that,
20.
Yeah, not.
No.
I mean,
that'd be awful to have somebody that much younger, because then you'd really be on the train to try to maintain the youthfulness so that it's just so... It's all about the exterior and not allowing that to determine your choices and your value. Yeah. Yes, do you want to be with somebody who's attractive and who likes to exercise and is healthy,
takes care of themselves?
Yeah, but it's not. It can't be the be all end all.
You said something that women are oftentimes very motivated by what a man thinks. I think women can also equally be motivated by what other women think.
That's true. Yeah, because women do compare with other women,
and
a lot.
Yes, and I do. And Tom, correct me if you think I'm wrong, but I do believe that men do care. Every single man I've ever dated or spent time, I have noticed they care a lot about their bodies. They have an opinion about their bodies. It may not be as strong as mine about my body.
Yeah, that's true. But I think this is true with both sexes. Humans care.
Yes,
they do. That's
right.
But
where I think men care less, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, is I don't think men are in competition as with other men's bodies as much as women may feel in competition with other women and their bodies.
Except then you go to a gym
You took the words right out of my mouth.
Men are in that gym pumping iron. They're taking steroids to get themselves. And let me tell you something. You can go to any gym in this city, and the men, from the Y to Equinox to all of them, and the men are there in their muscle shirts. Some of them have put a little baby oil on their skin, and they're in there pumping iron, and they are looking in the mirror at themselves.
To see who's looking at them.
And they're looking at the mirror or looking at the guy next to them, and it's a competition.
I think you're exactly
how much you
right.
bench?
Exactly. So it's kind of like, but I do think that I don't think my dad's generation were into that. I'm sure there were some people that were, but I don't think it was mainstream. You know, I mean, my dad never lifted weights, but he was out on the ranch, you know, breaking in horses and doing stuff like that. But so I think that has even gotten more and more for men too.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there's a lot of ways that they can, you know, artificially pump themselves up with all that. So, I don't know.
I went on a couple of dates with a guy who did steroids, and I have to tell you, I found that to be one of the most unattractive things.
And they get angry. They get angry.
I was like, "You do what?" I mean, he told me because he wanted to know how I felt about it, and I was so naive. I just thought he went to the gym a lot, and I didn't know what a steroid body was. I really didn't. I mean, that was probably really naive on my part. But I found that to be so incredibly unattractive. Like it was immediately over.
Yeah. I'm not attracted at all to the overly built male physique.
And if a guy has to take a steroid to get that at our age, dude, come on. Like, the ship has sailed. That's like me trying to to be a model. You know, it's like not that was ever an option for me at a whopping 5 feet 4 inches. But I mean, like the ship has sailed. Like there's some ships of mine that have sailed, and that I've made peace with that.
Yeah, and I think that it is about acceptance and valuing our body and valuing the inside along with it, and understanding that it's not a competition. It is not. You're never going to win the race. Somebody will always look good, better, and be skinnier and more.
And you will always look better and be skinnier than somebody else.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a relative concept that really has nothing to do with our happiness. If you're fully attached to the way your body looks for your source of happiness, that's where it's a real slippery slope, because it's just going to change. Trust me.
Well, it's just like a whole bunch of people who think once they get money, and then once they get money, it's like, shit, I there, wherever you go, there you are.
Yeah.
I'm still there.
Yeah, exactly.
So Janice, or Tom, either one of you ever had a friend that you felt like was going down a slippery slope road, whether it was their weight or injections or steroids, and you had a conversation with them?
You know, I really haven't. I'm trying to think back in the day. I might have had one friend that was pretty much starving herself, and I did talk to her about it. But my friends are healthy, but I really haven't had friends that went on a real crazy diet. You know, anorexic. And you know, the thing about anorexia or face situation, I do have one friend.
I have a friend. The reason I ask
has had a lot of injections.
I have a friend who I'm like, oh, like, you're so beautiful.
No
mas. But I have just really struggled with how do I lovingly, I'm like, would they ever be in a place to hear my feedback about, because she's so beautiful and she has like lots of children, you know, who are watching. And so I don't know. She's been my friend for years, and now all my friends are like, "Shit, is it me?" And no, it's not. But I'm like, oh, like I just want to be like, oh.
I know.
Stop.
I know. I don't know.
Would you just stay out of it?
I probably would try to mind my own business. I think if she asked me, I would be honest,
Yes.
But,
I would be honest if she
But I
asked me.
just don't think, it's not like she's life-threatening for herself or her children or anything like that.
If she was starving herself, I would absolutely.
Yeah, I would do
approach it.
that too.
I've never had that. I've never had a friend struggle with that. Thank God.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure I've had friends struggle with that, but I've never been like, oh my God, she's going to die if we don't intervene.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But it's tough.
I know it is hard. So, I mean, I just think it's so important for us to think, to love ourselves and to, rather than focus on, everything that might be changing or where there's a little wrinkle or saggy arms or crepey arms or whatever it is. I had a friend who was obsessed with her ankles, and I always laughed so hard. I was
God,
like,
I've never thought about my ankles. Shit, do I need to start looking at my ankles now?
I don't know. I haven't noticed, so I think they're probably okay. But I think that it's about looking at your life with gratitude for all the things that are working, and if you're healthy, then praise God, because that's really what it comes down to. And I've had a couple of friends die, and it's like, okay,
It's not a given.
no, it's not. The filler's not gonna be in that ash vase with those lips.
It's not. I'm so glad you said that, Janice, because that's something that, as with my accident, it's been very humbling.
I know.
That my body doesn't work the way that it used to. It just doesn't.
Yeah.
And a guy this morning at yoga asked me, "Are you back?" I said, "Are you back?" And I'm like, "I'm getting back." I try to say that. And I said, I think about what I can't. Sometimes I get frustrated about what I can't do in yoga. I mean, I went up into a handstand the other day, and I thought my body was gonna.
Oh, Tova.
Collapse. It was like my body was like, what the actual F are you doing right now? And it was a bad decision. It was a really bad decision. And it was so discouraging. The shots that went through my body and how awful it felt and how bad. I used to be able to do handstands, no problem. And I got into child's pose, and I just tried to find gratitude. Like, you are it in yoga. Like, I remember being in my doctor's office, and I said, "Are you telling me that by December I might be able to do yoga?" He said, "That's what I'm telling you." And I couldn't believe it, because I couldn't walk.
Yeah.
And so I said to that guy this morning, I think about I could focus on the things that I can't do that I used to be able to do, that would have crushed me a year ago, that I couldn't do it. And then I just try to refocus and find gratitude about the things that I was hit by a truck, and I can do yoga. That's insane.
It's insane.
Yes.
And I think one of the really great things about that, I feel like at my age, I'm just smarter.
Yeah.
Because I care less about a lot more.
Oh, that's really
and I
good.
really like being in that place.
But to your point, I love that. And I think focusing on what you do have and the gratitude of all, so much more.
It magnifies everything
It
good.
sure does.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there's your remedy.
All right,
peeps.
there you go.
All right. We hope y'all have an amazing week, and come back next week for how to care less about what people think. Let's go.